All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else, and I am bringing you my Stamina Nightblade build, one of them that I'm going to be coming out with for the Elsweyr patch. Now, this is a Brawler heavy armor style Stamina Nightblade. This is not a gank build. However, we do have gank builds type burst damage. So, I'm going to dive into the gear, the potions. I'm going to do everything. When I get to stuff that I wanted to talk about, I'm just going to talk about it as it happens this time because I want to make sure I don't miss anything about this build. I want to talk about how it works, why it works, all this other stuff because, Nightblade is just a different kind of strong this patch. There's different ways you can build it, and that's pretty exciting stuff. So, let's dive into it. The first set we're running, guys, is 5-piece Hunting's Rage. And we're running it on the body, or we're not running it on the body. We're running it on the jewelry and on the weapon. I have all robust weapon damage with 2 weapon damage and 1 recovery. Now, I am a wood elf. If you're a wood elf and you want to try this build, I would run Triune Jewelry. I think you want the tri stat because it's really hard to get your health where you want it to be. The best races for this in Lord because you get the health bonus. Orc is probably best in slot. You wouldn't have to do that or with an orc. You could just run robust and go whatever. But I did a quick workaround. It's fine, but when I get my transmutes, when I get my materials, I will be upgrading. Now, I am running a Maul Sharpen or Nirnhund. And the reason we went with the Maul, guys, is because everybody in the game is really running really high resistances. Maul gives us the best bang for our buck for mitigating resistances. So this will buff, our surprise attack. This will buff our relentless. It obviously is not buffing our onslaught. We went with the Nirnhund Maul because we are also running rally, so that buffs our heal a little bit. On top of that, it also buffs our onslaught. If we wanted to go for just, nasty onslaughts, we'd go with the Nirnhund Greatsword. But I think the Nirnhund Maul is that nice middle ground we get where we still get really nice onslaughts. Like I'm hitting just under 19k fully buffed on people. So I think this is nice. With a Nirn Greatsword, I think you'd be hitting 20k plus onslaughts. So yeah, pretty nasty. As far as our back bar set, we were running the 2-piece Black Rose. You get these in Black Rose Prison. The 2-piece is Blade Cloak grants you major protection for 3 seconds, reducing your damage taken by 30%. The name of the game with this build, guys, is damage mitigation. And we have a shit ton of damage mitigation with this build, and I will go through all of that as we get to it. So, as far as our monster set goes, we're running Brawler. Best way to go medium helmet and light shoulders. Or actually, you could go heavy helmet and then like light waist, medium hands, and then you go heavy helmet and like heavy shoulders. That's probably best in slot. I didn't have all that, so I just threw it together. It's very minuscule for what that does, but this is just fine. So 2-piece Brawler, we are running 5-1-1. This is 5 heavy. And then the other set we're running is Mechanical Acuity. You guys saw my Mag DK setup. I did try Mechanical Acuity back before they changed it about 1.5 years ago. I tried it on the Nightblade, and the dot damage that would proc it kind of made it unfavorable for the Nightblade because you put poison injection on somebody and then you'd get it and you'd be dodge rolling and kiting, and you really couldn't line up your burst with Mechanical Acuity. With this type of build, you can. And so if you guys haven't seen it, it is a great set. It's still a great set. We have a new Elsweyr patch, and I'm going back to old sets, but, not just sets dropped in the Elsweyr patch. Skills, different fundamental changes to abilities now all of a sudden make some of these sets a lot better. And so Acuity, you're going to be seeing a lot more, in my opinion. 2-piece weapon damage, 3-piece spell damage, 4-piece max stamina and magicka, so you get a nice dual stat there. And then 5-piece, when you deal direct damage, you have a 15% chance to gain unerring mechanical vision for 5 seconds, causing your attacks to always be a critical strike. This effect can occur once every 18 seconds. So, what this means is that when we want to burst somebody with our Relentless, our Onslaught, and our Execute, we can land all that within 5 seconds. And it's all burst damage. Nightblades have a nice passive to where they get 10% more crit damage. We are also running the Shadow Mundus to where we get 13% more with the Shadow. We're also running a minor force buff, so we get 10% more. So with this build, we have okay weapon damage, but we have 33% damage for our crit modifier. And so when we crit with our ultimate, we're just absolutely going to shit on people. And so that's why we're running it this way. This just allows us to finish it. Finish somebody really quickly. Burst is the name of the game in PvP more often than not when you're Xing. This gives you a ton of burst, and it's a lot of fun for that reason. Like I said, Balorg. As far as the best way to build this, guys, it's so close, in my opinion. But you want tri-stats if you're a Wood Elf. If you're a Orc or anybody else, you just want your health around 25k. Do what you got to do to get it there. I think running 5 body with Hundings is ever so slightly better than Hundings on the front bar. I was running other sets. I tried 7th Legion. I tried Fury. I tried Ravager. And so that's why I was running Hundings on the front bars, because I wanted that damage with the Onslaught. And so that's why I crafted the 3 jewelry and the weapon. And so when I had already crafted that, instead of crafting Acuity with jewelry and then golding out another weapon, I crafted it on the body instead because it's a little bit cheaper. But it's not that big of a difference, guys. We are running some Magicka-based skills, and so having the 4-piece for Acuity on both bars, having the max stamina and max Magicka, the Magicka does actually come in handy a little bit, so it's nice having it on both bars. But to buff our heals a little bit more to get that weapon damage, we will have about 200 more weapon damage plus a crit bonus on both bars running Hunting's Rage, so it is just a little bit better if you wanted to min-max it. But, you know, I have to wait till the next patch comes out. I have to get some more mats before I go into that. I have a lot of builds that I want to come out with, guys, so I got to really watch where I get my materials from. This is just fine where it's at, and I will show some clips at the end. As far as consumables go, guys, we'll go back up here. We are running double dot poisons. The new poisons are fantastic. That's probably the best way to go. I'm trying to figure out the best way to get materials so I can run those full time. They're really nasty. But, you know, open world PvP is just an AIDS fest, so you got to run as much AIDS as possible. Double dot poisons are also great because when we proc our Acuity, our double dot poisons will crit. And with our crit modifier, I've seen people go from half health or full health to half health in that 5 seconds with just the dot ticks on them. So very nasty. As far as our potions go, guys, we're running Essence of Weapon Crit. These will be our typical ones we want to run. You know, we don't need to burst somebody with just mechanical Acuity. We're running 40% plus crit damage, 40% plus crit with this build. And so we still will be bursty regardless of if Acuity procs or not. So that's why we're running them. These are the best in my opinion. But I also have lingering health on my bar like I always do. I also have immovable pots. You know, every once in a while you're going to run across a group where they're just javelin spamming. You'll have one guy that's just nonstop hitting you with like magnum shot. And so you need an immovable pot to finish off a couple of people. Those need to be on your bar. These are just absolutely nasty, but they're really hard to come by on Xbox right now. Health, stamina, and restore 12-10 health per second. These are going to probably be best in slot once you can get them full time, but that's not there yet. Tripods in general for severely outnumbered fights, guys. When you have to kite, when you have 7 people chasing you, you need to run tripods because we are running a couple Magicka skills that will drain our Magicka. The tripods come in handy for that reason. And I'd also slot invis pots for when you don't want to get zerged down and bagged by a large group of people. Very handy. I'm out. I need to make some more. As far as our food goes, we are running Lava Foot Soup and Saltrice. As you guys know, Dubious Cameron Throne and the gold food got nerfed this patch a little bit for their max stats. It's not that big of a deal, but they nerfed that, and I've been running this food for 2 years. If you guys have been watching this channel, this is my favorite food, and they buffed this. It used to be like 4,300 stamina and 430 stamina recovery, and now it's just under 5k and just under 500 stamina recovery. So bang for your buck for damage and sustain. This is the best food. So we're eking out the sustain we need with this food. And that's why we're running tri-stat on everything else. As far as our skills go, guys, we're on our dual wield bar. As far as our back bar ultimate, there's 3 ultimates that I think are best. The Sigic ult, you can run Undo. That's fantastic for the damage mitigation. 8%, great. You could absolutely run that. I was running it. You're very tanky with it. I go back and forth between that and Dawnbreaker Smiting. With Dawnbreaker Smiting, what's really nice about having it on this back bar, guys, is every once in a while, like, you can't get in to hit somebody, one person with an onslaught, because everybody's kind of stacked on top of each other. So you can slap an entire group with a Dawnbreaker and then start reverse slicing, and then you'll finish somebody off because you get so much splash damage. We do hit very hard with this build, especially when it crits. So if there's a group of 5, somebody in that group of 5 squishy, you knock them all down, you reverse slice, somebody's dead. So that's why I'm running it on the back bar. But like I said, you can run undo. That's also valuable. If you're running in a group, I would consider Soul Siphon. Soul Siphon is just amazing for group play, like popping a heal. Essentially nobody in your group dies while this is up. So it lasts for 4 seconds. Nobody dies. It's like a healing ultimate. But you don't have to stand there and, to do the prey hand. So not only do they get this big heal, they also get Major Vitality, increasing their healing received by 30% for 4 seconds while they're on the defensive. So very, very powerful. As far as our other skills go, guys, Race Against Time is the big change of the Elsweyr patch. This is an amazing skill. And honestly, I'm going to go on a little rant about this, but I think support skills like this should be loaded in this way. I would like to see more skills, support skills, not damage skills, but like buffing type skills have this kind of utility, because then it frees up more space on your bar to where you can fit other damage skills, and then you can make your build more diverse. So I would like to see the game go more in that direction. So the reason Race Against Time is so powerful, guys, is you get Major Expedition. So this is going to be our movement speed. You get Minor Force. This is our crit damage. We're running Mechanical Acuity. Without Mechanical Acuity proc, we're over 40% crit. We're going to be more bursty with Race Against Time up. On top of that, they now change it to where activating this ability removes all snares and immobilizations from you and grants immunity to them for 1.7 seconds. Fully buffed, it's 2 seconds. I'm close to getting it morphed, but yeah, it'll be 2 seconds. Very, very powerful skill. Movement speed, snare immunity, minor force, everything you would want for a 1vx build. Shadow Image. I still love Shadow Image. I know a lot of people don't like it because, it's buggy. Where I find it's buggy the most, guys, is don't try and use it on multiple floors. It won't work if you're on the 3rd floor, you drop your Shadow Image, you go down to the 2nd, and then you try and pop back up. It won't work that way anymore. And maybe at some point, hint, hint, ZeniMax, you'll please change it back to where it works properly so that we can use our Shadow Image the way we want to. Because even like on elevation, sometimes it doesn't work properly. But on flat ground, guys, it still works well. Because, yeah, you just drop it, and then if you want a line of sight, you go around a corner, you get Shadow Image back. The main way I use it, guys, is when I'm in keeps and stuff. I'll drop it behind like a tree. I'll go in for the burst. I'll hit somebody hard. If I get jumped on, I can then Shadow Image back. Now I have my line of sight. I have my heals. I can get my buffs up, and I can get back in the fight. So I think Shadow Image is powerful for that reason. On top of that, it also gives minor maim. So whatever it's attacking gives minor maim. It also does okay damage now. So we have damage mitigation with this skill on whoever it attacks. So in 1v1s, this is very powerful. In kiting situations, it's also very powerful. We're going to use this in synergy with Race Against Time for our kite ability and movement speed. These are going to be our survivability things. And this is why tripods are really nice for big outnumbered fights, because these aren't super cheap. They're not expensive, but they're not cheap. They're in the middle, and for a stam build, it's hard to sustain both sometimes. So that's why tripods are nice. Blood Craze. We're running this for the bleed. It's a really nice damage over time effect. It's also a nice heal. 1558 health every 2 seconds for the duration. So we're going to apply this on people on our back bar. It'll give us a little bit more healing. It'll give us a little bit of damage over time. Very effective. As far as the traits on my back bar, guys, I am running Defending and Powered. I think double Nern or Nern Precise is probably the best way to go on the back bar. I don't want to use the transmutes. I have other builds I got to do. This is Defending and Powered is just fine, but I think absolutely min-maxing because of all the damage mitigation we have. I think it'd be better to go Nern because you would buff your healing on the back bar. Your healing would be probably a little bit better. You'd buff your Dawnbreaker damage when you want to splash with that, and you'd buff your Blood Craze bleed. And so I think that's a little bit better, but it's, yeah, I went Defending Powered. I think Defending Powered's fine. I think Defending's fine, but those are the options. We're also running Quick Cloak. And so this gives us our movement speed. We also get major evasion for 15 seconds. So it reduces area of effect attacks by 25%. Very, very powerful when you're fighting outnumbered. Like, a lot of people are going to be hitting you and spinning and winning, and you negate their spinning and winning with this. On top of that, this procs are Black Rose dual wield. So on top of the 25% AoE mitigation we also get major protection for 3 seconds. So we get 25% AoE, we get 30% for major protection. So we have a lot of damage mitigation with this skill, and the skill has to be on our bar, or else if it's not on our bar, we're not running Black Rose properly. So it has to be there. And then Vigor. And so when you look at this, guys, Quick Cloak, ton of damage mitigation. Shadow Image, damage mitigation. Undo Ultimate, damage mitigation. Dawnbreaker Smiting is healing, but yeah, you get a lot of damage mitigation with this. We are in heavy armor, we have okay resistances, but the major protection buff with the AoE, with Minor Maim, that's where, with the healing, with the Blood Craze Bleed, that's how we're going to survive. On our front bar, we got Reverse Slice, Relentless Focus, which got a change. It no longer gives Minor Berserk, but this also gives damage mitigation. So focus your senses for 30 seconds, so that they buff the duration, which is fantastic. Reducing your damage taken by 3% with every light or heavy attack up to 5 times. So you can have up to 15% damage mitigation with this. So if you're holding on to your Relentless trying to wait for your proc, you're going to have 15% damage mitigation with this. So it's stacked with the Minor Maim, major protection, AoE debuffs. Like I said, we just have a lot of ways to mitigate damage. Now, obviously there's diminishing returns, but still stacking all these are very valuable because it just eliminates the amount of damage we get hit by, which means our heals will work better. While active, hitting an enemy with 5 light or heavy attacks converts this ability into Assassin's Scourge, allowing you to fire a spectral arrow for half the cost that deals 16,290 disease damage. That's not buffed. If we buff up, and we don't have to even hit our Relentless anymore because we don't get the 8% anymore, but I did it anyways because, old habits die hard. We have just under an 18,000 disease damage. So our direct damage is also very effective. On top of that, it heals you for 33% of the damage dealt. So for a brawling style build, we get damage mitigation, we get burst damage, and we get a heal. When we land this, we'll be landing it with our onslaught, so we will actually get the heal quite a bit. So this is why this is on our bar. Rally, burst heal, major brutality. I mean, that's no brainer. Mass hysteria. This got a buff. You can now fear up to 6 enemies, so when you get piled on, you can fear, you can shadow image out. It's much better this patch. It doesn't do Minor Maim anymore, but that's what our shadow image is for. So I would rather personally have fearing up to 6 enemies and no Minor Maim instead of fearing 3 with Minor Maim. That's just my opinion. That's the type of groups I end up fighting. I just prefer it that way. And then surprise attack for our spammable. And then we're running Onslaught. Now, the reason we're running Onslaught with this build, guys, is we're running Balorg. And so when you're fighting people in PvP, there's a wide range of people you fight. Like, earlier today I fought somebody that was super squishy, 20k health, medium armor. I hit him with a Rending Slashes and essentially a medium attack reverse slice, and I killed them with this build. There are other people that are just so tanky because you can just build so much damage mitigation and resistances in this game that it's really hard to kill some people 1v1 if they want to go on the defensive. And so that's why I like running Balorg. Balorg ups our ability to really just take a lot of people out. Because what Balorg does, for those of you guys that don't know, is when you have... It gives you weapon and spell damage for the one piece, which is great. And then when you use an ultimate ability, you gain weapon and spell damage for 10 seconds, equal to twice the amount of the total ultimate consumed. So what this does is, if you use an ultimate and you have 150 ult built, you will then have 300 weapon damage for 10 seconds. If you have 500 ultimate, you can have 1,000 weapon or spell damage for 10 seconds. So, and it activates, it works for the ultimate at the time. So it doesn't happen after the ultimate lands, it happens when you activate the ultimate. So your ultimate is buffed by Balorg. I've ran the tests, I ran it when it came out, If anybody has any questions about that, I can post a link to the test and I can show you. This is one of the best monster sets in the game for bursting somebody down for that reason. So not only do we have really nasty burst with our Balorg, we also have really nasty burst after when we're finishing, when we're hitting with our Relentless, when we're hitting with our Reverse Slice, when we're hitting with our surprise attacks. It also buffs our healing in case we go for an ult and then all of a sudden we have to go on the defensive. It's just great for that reason. And the reason we're running that, and I know it's long-winded, but Balorg and Onslaught is great for that reason. The reason we're not running in-cap is in-cap doesn't work for that type of burst. In-cap is still a good ultimate, guys, below 120 ultimate. You know, if you use it at 70 ult, it's very, very good. But the problem with it is, with this type of build, is if you're fighting somebody really tanky and you need that more ult and you need that higher burst to finish them off, if you hit somebody with an in-cap and you have like 300 ult and you're over the 120 limit, what happens is you silence them and you give them free CC immunity. And so you in-cap them and then you go to Fear and you hit with your Relentless. Well, they already have their CC immunity from being silenced, and then your Relentless doesn't land reliably. They heal back to full, and then you're just pissed off the entire time because you're fighting a stamina DK for 25 minutes. I'm speaking from experience. Anyways, they need to adjust this. This is beyond stupid. Like give us the knockdown at 120 ultimate. Give us fucking something. Please take away the stupid silence and giving people free CC immunity. It's retarded. If you don't run Balorg and you want to run like Bloodspawn or something with this build and you're just going to rattle off in caps at 70 ult, this is fine. You know, it's going to make your Relentless hit harder. That's fine. But, you know, for really dishing out damage sometimes, like, that's why I went with Onslaught. You also get Reeve with this. It is a very good skill below 120. But, yeah, past 120, it's not worth fighting. It's not worth using. So that's why we're running Onslaught. On top of that, when you're 1vxing, the nice thing about this as well is it ignores the target's resistances. It gives them to you, so it makes you more tanky. Killing an enemy with this ability immediately refunds the ultimate cost. So there will be times where you'll just shit on somebody with an Onslaught Balor combo, and you go straight back to 150 ultimate, and you can just shit on the next person. And so that's why it's so nice. And so buffed up, you'll see our Onslaught is coming in at 17k. That's before our crit modifiers, obviously. So yeah, we are very bursty with this build. Now, as far as the character sheet goes, when we look at it, after our controller dies, we're sitting at 14,000 Magicka, 24k health in PvP. That's with Prismatic everything. You know, like I said, I did have to put 10 points in health with this build because I am a Wood Elf. That's why Orc is better, because you get that big health and stamina bonus. You wouldn't have to do that, so you'd have a little bit more damage with Orc, even if you built in the sustain. 34.5 stamina, which is also solid. 1900 stamina recovery. You can run 17, but I found 19 to be like the minimum for Xing and like that sweet spot. If you want more, run a little bit more. Our weapon damage, fully buffed, is at 32.28, which doesn't seem very high with our stamina, but this is more of a crit-based build. 29.8% weapon crit when we pop our pot. We're at just under 40% weapon crit. We have 20k spell, 20k physical fully buffed up, and 3,000 critical resist. Now, our resistances aren't very high, but they don't have to be, guys, because we have so much, like I've talked about before, we have so much damage mitigation. We are going to be tanky for that reason. I am running the Shadow Mundus, and so when we stack these things, guys, we have the Shadow Mundus, which is giving us critical damage by 13%. Nightblades have I think it's the Hemorrhage passive. That's also 10%. And on top of that, we also are running Minor Force with our Race Against Time. And so we have 33% critical damage modifier when we crit. And so when we fully buff up with our Balorg, you know, we're at, like I said, we're at 32.24. We're at over 4k weapon damage when we hit 500 ult, which we will quite a few times, guys. It happens all the time on a Nightblade. We can have over 4,000 weapon damage, and we can have a 33% crit modifier. And so with this build, guys, this is a heavy armor, tanky build for survivability without cloak. And I've been hitting I've hit like 5 onslaughts that are just under 19k. 18 to 19k all the time. I'm hitting 10k plus just about every time if they're not blocking. It's very, very bursty. Now, obviously, like I said, Nern Greatsword would be better for Onslaught, but this is a very bursty build. And when we crit, our crit damage is going to be very nasty. And so I've bursted people down in Acuity with just heavy attack, surprise attack, bash, because all of those crit, and then you just do so much burst damage. So the name of the game with this is survivability, damage mitigation, and crit burst. So as far as our CP goes, 48 Warlord, 23 Bashing Focus, 3 into Sprinter. Bashing Focus because we will be light attack, surprise attack, bashing quite a bit. 75 Tenacity, 75 Mooncalf. You could put a couple in Arcanist. I don't think it's super great. 23 into Shadow Ward, 23 into Tumbling, 37 Blessed, 81 Mastered Arms. We're doing a lot of direct damage. 49 Mighty, 35 Piercing. You want the middle ground. You know, if you're going for Onslaught, like shit on people Onslaughts, take the points out of Piercing, put it into Precise Strikes and Mighty. Thaumaturge, just to buff our 1 dot. Our Poison also is buffed by Thaumaturge, so it's nice having a little bit there. 72 Ironclad, 51 Resistant, really mitigating damage in our CP tree as well. 49 Hardy, 49 Ellie Defender, 34 Thick Skinned, 15 into Quick Recovery. So that's the build, guys. Like I said, you know, it's a lot of fun. There's a few things, like a lot of what my issues with this build are still build related. It's a very powerful build. You're very tanky. You're very hard to kill. In a 1v1 situation, it's tough for people to deal with the amount of burst you're dishing out. Now, with that being said, there are some classes you're going to have a hard time killing with this specific setup, namely like dodge, rolling, stamina, Nightblade, so you really have to work on your combos. But for 1vxing, it's powerful. And so part of the reason I wanted to post this build was to just show that Nightblades aren't all about cloak, guys. Nightblades aren't all about being super squishy. Not anymore. You can be tanky. You can have a Brawler style build. You can go out there and just absolutely shit on people with this type of build. Is this the best open world style build? No, probably not, because cloak is that powerful. But you don't need cloak, guys. Like, Nightblades are still good without cloak. Nightblades have a lot in their toolkit. And so that's going to be the end of me ranting about this. We're going to go into a couple clips to show you guys kind of how the build works. And hope you enjoy. So let's dive into it, fellas. Alright guys, so this first fight, we opened up Yellow's Gate, so I come down here to try and solo take the scroll and see how far away I can get with it. You know, do some solo farming. Kind of silly, but I go over there with the help of Blue out, and he dies. Turns out there's about 3 yellows on this resort, on this keep. I'm getting hit by a bunch of ads. I'm getting negated. Ads are just so powerful. So I decided to kite back here behind this wall. I'm getting hit with a bunch of stuff. So I'm just going to kind of line of sight, try and narrow some stuff down. This guy's using Silver Leash. He pulls me in. I'm going to hit him with the Rending Slashes. I'm going to buff up with my Rally. Going to get hit with another negate. I'm just going to weave, and we're going to see who's not healing. So this guy decides not to heal. I hit him with an 18.5k Onslaught, plus an Execute, and he's dead. I hit that guy with Rending Slashes. Light attack, surprise attack, bash that guy. His health's going down, so we're going to buff up, use our Blade Cloak, hit our Rally, hit him with a Blood Crazed Bleed, fear them both, light attack, surprise attack, bash. You see we have a pretty good burst with when we crit. And so it's actually very effective. My Acuity goes off right when I execute, so I burst him down really quickly. And so now we just have a one-on-one versus the Stam DK. I'm going to buff up again. Going to keep my Rally up with Fear, 9k Onslaught, plus the Execute, and he's dead. I'm still trying to fight. This next clip, I'm still trying to fight here. And the reason I'm showing this part of the clip, guys, is because I wanted to show the survivability. I'm the only one trying to take this scroll at this point, so I'm getting hit by a bunch of ads. There's now 4 or 5 people on here. They actually started dropping siege on me. So at this point, I'm trying to go back around the side. And so I wanted to kind of show you guys in this clip how you kind of survive. You know, it's not going to be like the sexiest clip where I kill a bunch of people, but it's kind of how you just, you know, use this build to play defensively, because I think that's the most important when you try something like this. So you see I aggro a bunch of ads, and you see they're all just kind of sitting there on the scroll. And so I'm just going to line aside a little bit so I'm not getting sniped too much. Kill a couple ads so I can go in. I see a couple come around this corner. I get Silver Leashed again. Luckily, that guy pulled me out of a Dawnbreaker, which was nice. He's shield charging me. And so I'm just going to line aside a little bit more. I've been throwing caltrops to stop me from coming in. I de-aggro this ad. Now we have this little guy come in, drop him to half health with Blood Craze. I hit him with a 17.5k onslaught because I was in my acuity. And yeah, so light attack, Blood Craze, plus onslaught, he's dead. So now we have a body on the ground. We're just going to pull this ad. We're going to just try and keep the body on the ground while killing ads so we can move in. You see this guy go for the revive. I dodge roll in. I get the bash off. I'm still just kind of focusing the ads because they're not really trying to kill me at this point. So I'm just going to try and deal with the ones that are causing the most issue. This guy goes for the revive. I get negated, so I can't follow up with my ultimate. I get pulled in again. You see my acuity goes up. I'm just keeping an eye on the body. We're going to see if we have somebody we can whittle down. So you see I have my shadow image down in case I need to get out. I'm getting silver leashed in. I'm keeping my blood craze up, which is another heal. I'm going to bash this guy. Now you see I get hit with a permafrost. I get hit with a dawnbreaker. Drop my blood craze, heal up, use my immovability, hide around the corner, and you see just how tanky you are. Like I'm taking a bunch of damage. I took 2 ults there and survive it all. This guy goes back for the revive, and I'm just going to try and stay on top of him to stop it from happening. So you can absolutely stay in and fight 3 or 4 people with this type of build, depending on their damage, of course. Like if they're really good, you're not staying in against anybody that good. Hit this guy with an onslaught. I go in for the execute. He backs up. Luckily, the heal's just not working, so I get that finisher. And so now we have 2 people left with the ads. I'm getting hit with, a couple claws, a couple D-swings. The other guy backs up, and it looks like I just have this 1v1 against the DK. And so I'm just going to light attack, surprise attack, bash him. We're just going to fight him in here. We're going to aggro all the ads because, that's how tanky we are. Until all of a sudden we take a nasty leap that we don't see. So we got to back up and we got to buff up. And we're just going to pop our vigors and re-heal to full, proc our acuity. He shield charges in. So now we got 3 ads on us that we have to try and deal with on top of this person that's weaving in and out of them. So a little bit of a pain in the ass to fight, but we'll just reverse slice and splash damage them down. Get the kill here. And if he's not going to focus us, we're just going to kill these ads and we're going to go back in. So it'll just be a few left for us to attack, and hopefully we can get that scroll and have some fun scroll shenanigans in the morning here. So thought he was going to die, hit him with quick blood craze. I leave, and now I go back to try and finish this little 1v1. We still have some ads here, but I get negated right away. I get CC'd right away. Enemy ads are just such a pain in the ass. But this time I'm going to drop the shadow image. I get negated again. I get bubbled. Now I'm getting hit with a bunch of Vampire's Veins. I hit him with a Relentless. I hit him with an Onslaught. I hit him with an Execute. The burst is down. He's dead. This fight we're fighting outside of Farragle, and the big group of yellow came in and they're trying to siege. And so I'm just going to fight off to the side here. And so you see I'm fighting 2 people, and I'm just slowly weaving, and you see I'm getting sniped. And so I want to keep my blades up so that I get the major protection buff. I want to line of sight around the tower. I dropped my shadow image earlier so that I didn't get bogged down. And now I'm just going to go into this corner since I'm getting sniped and attacked by a few people. I'm going to go where my ads are because ads are OP as shit. Hit that guy with a blood craze bleed. Now he's bubbled. And now I just get a kind of tee off on him. This guy ambushes in. He starts spinning to win. My acuity goes off. I hit him with a light attack, surprise attack, bash. I think I hit him with a relentless there for about 8k and killed him. So now I have a 1v1 again. So I'm just healing up here. Just keeping my buffs up, trying not to get dotted down, not trying to get leapt on. And we're just having our little fight. And so he decides to back out, which is a good call by him. Ads plus me is tough to deal with. Hit him with a 15k onslaught. He's dead. Because I killed him with the onslaught, I get the onslaught back. So now I'm going to go find somebody on some siege that's kind of juicy and easy to take out. Heavy attack, blood craze. Onslaught for 16k. We didn't get the killing blow, but it looks like our poisons or blood craze got him, so he's dead. So another quick kill. And we've drawn the attention of the snipers once again, so we're going to drop our shadow image. We're going to kite around. And basically we want to try and pull people into these corners to fight, so we're not getting sniped to death. We can't gap close and like really shit on people, so we just got to, have them come to us. This is way more of a defensive build than what I normally run on my Nightblade, but, when you're 1vxing, everybody's jumping on top of you anyway, so it works out okay. You see them lining up snipes, you see them hitting with Magnum Shot. I'm dropping a low health, so I decided to just back up, recoup some resources. So with our heavy attacks, we do sustain really well, but when we're getting hit with draining poisons like that, it can really affect us. So now we get another 2v2. The DK gets picked up again. He's got another guy in here. I can't remember exactly what he is, but we're going to focus him because he can't be as tanky as the DK. DK was very tanky. And now you see him hitting us. He's hitting us with Magnum Shot over and over again. And so against a guy like this is where you want your removable pots, where they're just trying to like CC you and stop you from getting your combos. I get hit with a nasty leap there. And you see once again, like the leap didn't even go off. But I get hit by it, and then it lands after I already take the damage. I had no chance to block that. So luckily I dropped my shadow image earlier, and that's another perfect example of just using that shadow image to try and get away. My acuity goes off, my poisons go off, I hit him with a nasty onslaught, he's trying to recover, but the poisons are critting on him and he can't really heal through it, so I just get a couple quick executes and I finish him. I hit this guy with a Relentless, and now I'm just dropping my shadow image, blood craze bleed, I'm keeping my buffs up, keeping my dots up. Now we have a Magplar coming in, so now we have to refocus the Magplar. I go back to my shadow image, which is on the body. I'm going to drop another one on the body, so we have to make sure that there's no revives. I don't have a gap closer, but my shadow image will stop people from getting to that person so I can keep them down. Now I got another person spamming poison injection. I bash this. Rended blood craze. Really quick onslaught with a Relentless, with an execute. So you saw the 9,800 onslaught, 7k Relentless, plus the execute, burst that guy down to nothing. And now we have one guy left because the other guy left because the door got open. So he wanted to go kill NPCs instead of help his buddy out. We now have our acuity up. We fear him in a dodge roll. Light attack, surprise attack, bash. Light attack, surprise attack, bash. He sees us. We're going to buff up again. Hit our blood craze bleed. Buff up again. We get a couple snipes here. Actually, the blue that comes in, we actually finish this guy off together. I hit him with an 11k onslaught and it's over. So these next clips are just some of the nastiest burst combinations I've gotten with my onslaught. You know, just wanted to highlight the damage of how bursty this is. So that's a 19k onslaught, 18.6, and 16. So very, very nasty burst combination, guys. Very nasty to deal with. Like I said, lots of damage mitigation, decent recovery, really high burst. A lot of fun to play. So if you're a Stamina Nightblade looking for something different outside of the roly-poly dodge roll build, I'd look at something like this. If you guys have any questions, please comment in the section below. There will be a lot more clips with this build in action. I can assure you, I didn't want to make this video like 50 minutes long, so we're going to cut it there. So if you have any questions, suggestions, whatever, let me know. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.